everyone, thank you for coming to my speech today. Today we have Adrian, my mom, Jimmy, and Damien from Canada. Does anyone know the cells that make up each and every one of us? Did you know that those same cells have the ability and potential to treat many of our friends and families that are affected each and every day from multiple disorders? Stem cells are microscopic organisms in each of us that develop out of a fertilized egg when we are first conceived. These stem cells can be taken out of our body, treated, and then either put back into our own or somebody else's body as a form of therapy. Like the famous saying goes though, if it sounds too good to be true, it most likely is. Although stem cells one day may be extremely beneficial to our society, currently there are many complications and ethical reasons as to why your doctors are not pushing you into stem cell therapy right away. Now that you have an idea of what stem cells are, I'd like to talk a bit more detailed about how stem cells are capable of being used for therapy. Stem cells are complex organisms found in all of us with several functions in multiple forms. Like I mentioned, they are multicellular organisms and they are capable to rapidly divide. They serve as an internal repair system, which means they're being put into an organ somewhere in our body and repairing that organ. They are unspecialized, so they're able to be taken out of anywhere of your body and put somewhere else, and they are adapted to that environment. They give rise in cells of the same type, which is what is possible for the adaptability. Differentiation. It is made possible due to the stem cells being unspecialized. Differentiation is how the cell adapts into the organ that it's placed in. In 1998, the first public research paper of stem cells was released. They talked about how stem cells are able to be taken out of embryos and put into another part of the body or even another person and treats that area, and it fixes what's being missing. It changed the way of thinking, and we are really now able to look at different research, and we can come much farther in science. There are two major types of stem cells. There's embryonic stem cells, which are formed from blastocysts, which are the inner mass of an embryo. That's what makes up your skin, your sperm, your eggs, heart, lungs, stuff like that, and they're like the baby cells because it's coming from a fertilized egg. The somatic cells are the adult stem cells, and they are used in your major organs such as your pancreas, your stomach for repair and replacement. They are found in the bone marrow, your muscles, and your brain. Stem cells are able to further our research abilities, and due to the rapid growth, researchers can take out stem cells, put them in a petri dish, and test new drugs and study normal growth patterns that we've never been able to see. And we're able to do it on human cells, which is really cool for science, and it's getting us to a lot of things that we've never seen before. These research studies can lead to conclusions of birth defects that we've seen every single day and we have no answers for as of now. Now that you know what stem cells are, let me share some of the positive outcomes that could arise from stem cell therapy. There are several positive aspects in regard to stem cells. There's cardiovascular therapy, neurological therapy, dental repair, and prolotherapy. Cardiovascular therapy. This is an extremely important thing that could be happening later in our future. Cardiovascular disease is the #1 cause of death in not even our own country, but the entire world. Many people know someone that's died of a heart attack or just they've had clogged arteries and they end up dying from it. Stem cells have the ability to fix that. Stem cells are taken out of your bone marrow and placed into the myocardium, which is your heart muscle, and it's able to repair it and fix it and get it working again how it should. It's able to repair myocardial damage and it increases regeneration. The neurological therapy is stem cells can differentiate into neurons, which are specialized cells used for neural signals. They also can form oligodendrocytes, which produces myelin for neural cells. Myelin is that thick mucus cell that is wrapped around your neuron, which increases adaptation and communication throughout your neurons. And then it can also differentiate into astrocytes. Astrocytes are just the specialized cells of your brain and spinal cord. Eventually, we could see stuff where it's being treated for diseases such as Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, Huntington disease, stroke, and spinal cord injury, which are all very major issues that we've seen a lot of deaths and a lot of painful things that our family members have gone through. So that's a very big thing that we're hoping to get through. There are many clinical trials being performed to test these theories, and there's nothing been proven yet, so it's not even regulated, but it's very hopeful for the future. Dental repair. It can repair damaged tooth tissues, and it can fix a lot of gum diseases that we've lost, and it can regenerate that ability. It can also repair damaged nerves connected to the tooth root due to they're very similar to your neural stem cells, so it's easy to fix it and just go to another one. And it could potentially change the way that dental care is treated now. The final positive outcome of stem cell therapy is prolotherapy. This is the most common form of therapy, and it's used for pain management. It takes the patient's own stem cells from the bone marrow or even fat deposits and then injects stem cells wherever you're feeling injury or anything in the damaged components of the body. This could help affect nerves, tendons, joints, muscles, or even muscle tissues. And this can treat a lot of diagnoses such as arthritis, tendinitis, arteriosclerosis. These are all very important for many people we know. Even if yourself doesn't have it, I'm sure you know someone, your sibling, cousins, aunts, grandparents, someone definitely that you know has it. And being able to treat it would be amazing because this affects their day-by-day life. Keeping the positives in mind, there are also several negative outcomes that need to be considered. There are several negative aspects in regards to stem cells. There's a lack of availability, there's a high cost, there's a very ethical dilemma, and there's a problem of knowing what's real and what's fake. And there's a lot of high rejection rates. So the lack of availability. They're very hard to obtain and it's very painful because it's taken from bone marrow. An example of bone marrow would be in your hip. They have to take this large needle, put it through your bone and extract that bone marrow, and then they're putting it into like a petri dish to treat. That would end up requiring anesthesia and you're under surgery. So it's just a big painful mess, but the side effects of it can hurt you as well. Another thing of lack of availability is donations. Like I said, that it's formed from embryos, so people would have to donate their own embryos and then to be frozen in order to treat them later in life to see greater effects with them. The cost. Cost is very, very expensive in order to have stem cell therapy. There's a lack of enforcement by the FDA because it's not regulated yet, so doctors are really able to decide any price they want because they know that you're willing to do it, because otherwise you'd have to leave the country to even have it done. It creates outrageous prices and the doctors have a monopoly over this treatment. It's an estimated of $5,000 to $15,000 per treatment, so which is really insane because a lot of people aren't even seeing results after their first treatment. There's an ethical dilemma. Stem cells have to destroy the actual blastocyst, and a blastocyst is a fertilized egg, and that occurs about 5 to 7 days after conception. So a lot of people and a lot of religions consider blastocysts to be human life due to the belief that life starts at conception. So essentially you're killing that embryo. So it creates a lot of legal complications, and legislators don't really know where to put the effect between legal, ethical, and religion. And it's just creating a lot of issues for us right now. There's a continued problem of not knowing what's real and what's fake. Like I mentioned, it's not approved by the FDA, so there's no real guidelines that doctors have to follow as of now. It's all just only been approved for research and not actually clinically studied. So there's very limited amount of stem cell clinics that are approved. The only ones that are actually approved are bone marrow. This can be used for blood disorders and even some types of cancers. A lot of clinics are actually treating Parkinson's and ALS. This has not been proven and it's not recommended that you get this done because there's no definite research and they're just using you as a clinical trial. Like I said, there is one that's approved. An example of a blood disease is sickle cell disease. Sickle cell disease is when your actual red blood cell is damaged or destroyed, and that can interfere with a lot of transportation of your oxygen. So being able to treat that is amazing in and of itself. The final negative outcome of stem cell therapy is high rejection rates. Many people are not seeing any results after the first treatment, and then they're having to pay more money like I mentioned before. There's these things called STE tests being done, and they're doing these experiments on mice where they're trying immunosuppressive therapy. Immunosuppressive therapy is an attempt to stop the mouse's immune system from attacking those stem cells, but the best result they've seen yet is the stem cell lasting 28 days. That's not that high. That's a month. That's like our winter break. You're going to have a new kidney, and then you're going to need a new one after that because it's not working, and then you're going to have to pay all that money again. They're still not even sure how long it's taking before they have to see a therapeutic effect, so there's a lot of research that needs to be done on how long it takes, and then ultimately they're hoping that this stem cell can be put in your body, repair that issue, and you'll never have this issue again. In conclusion, stem cell therapy is an extremely unique and advanced treatment for several diseases and rehabilitation. Although stem cell therapy sounds like an ideal fix-all-your-problem solution, there are many potential risks that can occur during the treatment and even after the treatment. There are also many unethical factors that need to be worked out before something like this will ever become legal and approved in the United States. Maybe sometime in the future, more clinical trials and lab experiments are completed and stem cell therapy may become more well-known and develop into a common form of therapy. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Yes.
Okay.
So you mentioned that it could reject the kidney.
Yes.
Why would it reject the kidney? Doesn't it have the same DNA as the host? Or...
So It potentially could, but at the same time, they could also donate them, so it might not have it. So we don't know how your body's going to react to it.
Have they tested any like actual the same DNA or?
I'm not sure. I can look it up for you and get back to you with it, but hopefully that's what they're hoping they can do later in the future, and that your body will potentially adapt to it. The theory they have in mind is that that embryo is half genes from a mom and half genes from a dad, so they're thinking that the body will be able to adapt to it, because not many moms reject their fetus. They're all very willing to adapt to it, so they're hoping to come to that eventually. Great question.
I have a question, or actually a comment.
Yes.
If you say that it only could be good for like 28 days, maybe for people who are on like donor lists, it might excel their time a little so that they can get the actual donated organ.
It's a great idea, and it could definitely be something in the future that they see. But are you willing to pay $5,000 to $15,000 to have that done?
Some people,
yeah,
I'm gonna say some people will.
Yeah, but if the rate of it is only like what, not even 5-10%, then it would actually work.
Yeah, and that's only been tested in mice. They haven't tried that in a person yet. In a person, it's only lasted like 1 day, and they've had issues with it right away.
Okay.
So there's a lot farther that they have to go with this research. But a lot of people are having it done, and there's many clinics that you can go to have it done, but it's not approved, so it's how much do you trust it. Anyone else? Good? All right, thank you for coming to my speech today.
Very good.